All right, guys. So there's an article that just came out from NBC News within the last 30 minutes or so. Right now, it's about 2:30 Central Time, saying that the Trump administration is seriously discussing invoking the Insurrection Act. So, according to the NBC News article, which they're saying is an exclusive, they said that they have 5 people with knowledge of the talks who are saying that there have been a lot of serious discussions in recent days about President Donald Trump invoking the Insurrection Act. It's something that's rarely used from the 19th century that gives the president power to deploy active troops inside the U.S. for law enforcement purposes. I guess, Quanell, what are your thoughts with this?
Sure. Let me say this to you, Charles and Matt. This is not shocking, nor is it surprising for this type of story to come out with those who have credible information from inside this administration who's part of these talks. I've been warning everybody for months now, for months, that this is where America is headed. He wants to use the Insurrectionist Act to stop anybody in this country from protesting him, his administration, his policies, and use the National Guard and the military to do it. That's why he's stationing the military all in different cities in America, because he's preparing for something bigger. But he uses Antifa and other quote unquote groups as justification within America to bring in the National Guard, to bring in the Army. So the infrastructure will already be in place to follow through on the great grand reset plan that Trump is planning in this country. He is not going to leave office. He's going to declare martial law, have the National Guard and military in these cities, suspend elections, and maintain power. You are watching the birth of a dictator in America in our lifetime. Let no one fool you. This is a frightening time in this country right now.
I mean, you've been saying that America is in a frightening time and everything's awful for decades now. You're a sky is falling guy. You've monetized it. That doesn't mean that this isn't alarming, right? This causes visions of the Kin State massacre and other things. It's the 1807 Insurrection Act of 1807, which allows an executive the authority to use military to quell rebellion, insurrection, widespread domestic violence. It is when you've got rioting and craziness, right? Like in the arson and rioting and looting that we saw in 2020, that would probably be an appropriate use of the Insurrection Act. They didn't. There were some. You saw National Guard deployed, but nothing of a major scale. The huge difference between this and Trump employing federal law enforcement like he did in Washington, D.C. to attack crime is, of course, that federal law enforcement is trained law enforcement, often at least as well trained as local law enforcement, sometimes better. And we saw some very good results, like the mayor of D.C. came out and said, hey, this has been a godsend. This has really stifled crime in our nation's capital, also one of our nation's most violent crime-ridden cities. And it almost completely stopped carjackings and did stop murders for a couple of weeks, which was unheard of in the district. But that's very different from having the U.S. military come out and enforce on citizens. Now, this is NBC. NBC clearly has long had an agenda that is antagonistic towards President Trump and the Republican Party, but it's alarming. And it's been alarming, and we've seen Trump overstepping the bounds of, there are a lot of people that supported, and I was never a Trump guy, but there are a lot of people that supported, doing away with sanctuary cities, which I think are a horrible idea. Letting, visitors to this country who commit crimes stay in this country because of a local municipality or a state's refusal to interact with ICE and immigration. That's a bad idea. But what we've seen instead are like the apartment raids and the sweeping arrests and detention of people that have been in this country for a long time, haven't committed crimes, and you're ripping apart families. And I don't think there's a lot of support for that in America. I think we're going to use that as a vehicle. On the flip side, we've also seen citizens, when they're actually arresting child rapists and other bad actors that happen to also be illegal entrants, we've seen citizens try to stop that. There's a lot of stuff out of control. And it all comes down to people saying crazy stuff like you just said at the beginning of this segment. Oh, this is the birth of a dictator. This is all going, everything's going. No, he won the election. He gets to make some decisions, right? And not only did he win the election, but he carried both the House and the Senate. He did get a mandate, right?
Charles,
Now,
this
that
is
does
the
not
same
go so
man,
far as to violating the Constitution or the
but
law
he is the
or the
same
Posse
man.
Comitatus Act. And
But
that's why
Charles,
people need to go to court.
this is the same man that ordered the FCC to take off a nighttime TV host, Jimmy Kimmel. This the same man that said the FCC should use the power to stop anybody from criticizing him
Okay,
and his
were you
administration,
upset?
Charles.
Were you upset when the Biden administration had people thrown off social media
And I
platforms?
thought that was foul and wrong. But here's the
Okay,
difference.
I don't
When the
remember
Biden,
that.
here's the difference. When the Biden administration did it, they lied and said they didn't do it. But when Trump is doing it, he's calling for it, Charles.
Well, wouldn't you
Look
rather
at this.
that?
Look at this
Wouldn't
Comey
you rather a
investigation.
president that was at least
There's no
honest
way
about
in
his
hell, Mr.
shenanigans?
Comey, there's no way in hell Mr. Comey gonna be found guilty. He may be very well guilty for what he did. I don't doubt that part. But I don't think he can be found guilty. Why? Because the president immediately interjected himself into the indictment, calling for it, demanding for it. That set up Mr. Comey to get a not guilty verdict, to get that case overturned on appeal, no matter what happens. Charles, this man is overstepping his bounds in every damn direction.
But what other directions? I mean, you literally said he was starting a
Oh, I'll give you
dictatorship
some
that
more.
was going to
You want
destroy our
some more?
democracy.
I'll
That's
give
what
you a
you
few.
said. You were
I'll give
lying,
you a
but that's
few.
what you said.
I'll give you a few. This is the
Okay.
same man that said we're going to only go after hardened criminals, and we're going to get those immigrants who are here illegally out of here. Charles, they're arresting school
But that's not what he
superintendents.
said. You just made that
Charles,
up.
no, he did say they were only going after hardened criminals. He
No,
said
he
they were
didn't.
going after violent criminals. They were not going after law-abiding citizens who were here illegally. They were going after those who were
Well,
hardened
you're not a
criminals.
law-abiding
They
citizen if
removed,
you're here
they
illegally.
removing
But
superintendents.
I
They
think both
locked, they
parties
zip tying
have
kids.
exploited immigrant
They zip
labor for
tying
decades,
kids.
and it's a little bit
Oh,
hypocritical. But also, I mean, the estimates are that Biden may have let 15, 20 million in his last
which
year of
was
his
wrong.
presidency. But here's the
But you and
thing.
I both know why they did that.
Look, if the president
To
uses the
create a new
military
voter base.
to police American citizens, it's a horrible, horrible thing. It is the Posse Comitatus Act makes it illegal, and hopefully the Supreme Court will slap it down. But he's not starting a dictatorship, right?
Oh,
If
keep watching.
you know,
I ain't been wrong yet. I have not been wrong yet about
you've
my
been wrong
warning
so many
about Donald
times.
Trump. I have
Yeah,
not
your
been wrong
ability
yet.
to make up
Go back
stuff.
and watch Face Off
I
and
mean,
watch every debate we've had about Donald Trump's administration.
I mean,
I ain't
Biden
been
and
wrong
Trump are
yet.
both liars, but I think if it was a podium, right, of
I ain't
making up
been wrong
stuff,
yet.
Cornell would be getting the gold, and I don't know, Donnie and Joe would both be getting silver and bronze, maybe. Like, no,
Well,
you
I
ain't
am
been
a
wrong
gold
yet.
medal winner.
You ain't been
I
wrong
admit,
yet. Come
I
on.
am a gold medal
Come
winner.
on.
I am the gold standard. Let me tell you something, brothers
You
and
are
sisters.
the GOAT at make
Let's be-
believe. I'll tell you that. You
I
are
am
the
the
What are you doing like
Tom
that, Charles?
Brady
What do you got to do Cornell
of
like that?
extremism.
I wrestled
on
with an
Fox Sports.
alligator. I tussled with a whale. I handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail. I'm so quick, I make medicine sick. So yes, I am the gold standard.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, on that note,
we're stealing from Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, but it's all right. We're gonna give him that plagiarism.
all right, guys. Thank you. I appreciate
Y'all
it.
be blessed, gentlemen.